The morning of the party, the sun was already warm by the time I hung the last string of blue and red streamers across the picnic tables. Little paper trains chugged along the tablecloths, the cake sat safely in its box, and everything smelled faintly of frosting and grass. Oliver's squeaky voice echoed across the park as my friend Sarah walked him over. He was dressed in his tiny conductor outfit, a blue vest with brass buttons and a matching hat that kept sliding down his forehead. "Mommy, is it party time?" "Almost, buddy," I said, tying a balloon to the bench. "People will be here soon." At 1:30, my phone buzzed. A charge alert. $642 at a department store. Then again, $8.15. And again, $9.30. Then a restaurant charge for $318. All on the emergency card, the one I'd given my mom. I stared at the phone screen, the park spinning a little around me. I called her. Straight to voicemail. By 2 o'clock, the daycare friends had arrived for little kids clutching presents wrapped in shiny paper. Oliver was thrilled, shrieking as they ran between the trees. He kept glancing toward the parking lot, waiting. "Grandma coming?" "She's probably running late, honey," I said, forcing a smile that hurt my face. 2:30, still no one from my family. I texted my sister. Party started. "Where are you?" An hour later, she replied, "Oh shoot, forgot to tell you. We're at Brad's parents' lake house. Tell Oliver happy birthday." Marcus sent a short message, "Can't make it. Work thing." Dad didn't answer at all. At 3 o'clock, we lit the candles. Oliver blew them out in one determined breath while his friends cheered. He grinned, icing on his chin, but every few minutes his eyes flicked toward the road. Waiting. By 3:30, everyone was gone. Sarah helped me fold the tablecloths. "I'm so sorry," she said softly. "Your family sucks." I smiled weakly, blinking back tears. "Yeah, they really do." Oliver fell asleep on the drive home, his conductor hat still on. I carried him inside, laid him gently in his bed. The house was too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes your own heartbeat sound loud. I opened my banking app. The emergency card charges had stopped. Total, $2,700. All between 1:30 and 3 p.m., the exact hours Oliver waited at the pavilion. I called Mom again. This time, she answered, breathless. "Megan, hi. Sorry, I've been so busy today. How was Oliver's party?" "You missed it." "Oh, was that today? I thought it was next week." The invitation said June 10th. "That's today." Well, I must have gotten confused. You know how dates slip my mind. "He waited for you, Mom. He kept asking when Grandma was coming." Don't be dramatic. 3-year-olds don't remember those things. He was probably too busy playing to even notice. He noticed. My voice broke. "And while he was noticing, you spent $2,700 on my card." There was silence. Then I needed a few things. "In 2 hours? You gave me that card for emergencies. What kind of emergency happens at a department store?" "I don't appreciate your tone," she snapped. "I'm your mother. I don't have to justify my purchases to you." "Actually, you do," I said quietly. "It's my card. My credit. My money." "Well, maybe if you were more generous, I wouldn't need to use emergency funds." Then she hung up. I sat there for a long time, staring at the leftover train cake in the fridge. 3/4 untouched. I opened my laptop and began typing. Every loan, every bill, every transfer, 5 years worth. Mortgage payments, car notes, prescriptions, wedding debts, rent help, emergencies. When I totaled it, the number stared back at me like a verdict. $151,684. $151,684 spent keeping people afloat who couldn't bother to show up for my son's 3rd birthday. My hands were shaking when I drafted the message. Family meeting tomorrow, Sunday, 11 a.m. My house. Bring all your bills and statements. This is mandatory. I hit send. Dad called within a minute. "Megan, what's this about a financial advisor? What's going on?" "Bring your bills, Dad," I said. "Mortgage, credit cards, everything." "Megan, you're scaring me. It's about financial transparency." "Bring Mom." 11 a.m. I hung up. Jennifer texted, "What's this about?" We're at the lake. Come home. It's important. Marcus called. I have plans tomorrow. Cancel them. By nightfall, my phone was full of confused, defensive messages. But I didn't answer any of them. For the first time in years, I didn't explain. I just sat in the quiet house, listening to Oliver's soft breathing from down the hall, and really decided, that tomorrow, everything would change. The next morning, the house smelled like burnt coffee and tension. I'd been awake since 5, setting up the dining table like some kind of courtroom, a folder for each of them, labeled neatly Mom, Dad, Jennifer, Marcus. Inside, copies of bank statements, loan receipts, screenshots of transfers, and one printed photo Oliver, standing under the pavilion balloons, eyes squinting toward an empty parking lot. By 10:45, they started arriving. Dad came first, knocking softly. He looked older than I remembered, his shoulders slumped, his face unshaven. Morning, sweetheart, he said carefully, like stepping onto a frozen pond. Morning, I replied. Coffee's on the counter. Marcus showed up next, sunglasses still on, scrolling his phone. What's this about? Some kind of intervention. Something like that, I said. Jennifer arrived at 10:58, smelling of expensive sunscreen and perfume. I really don't have all day, she said, sitting down with a sigh. Good thing this won't take long, I answered. Mom walked in last. Fresh manicure, designer purse, shopping bag in hand. All right, she said brightly, let's make this quick. I've got an appointment at 2. Sit down, I said. When everyone was settled, I opened my laptop and pressed play on a slideshow, nothing fancy, just numbers and receipts. Over the past 5 years, I've paid or covered a total of $151,684 in loans, bills, and so-called emergencies for this family. Mom rolled her eyes. Oh, here we go. I ignored her. That includes your car repairs, Jennifer's rent, Dad's hospital bill, Marcus's tuition balance, and most recently, I tapped the screen. A credit card statement appeared. $2,700 spent yesterday afternoon, during my son's birthday party. Mom's face went pale. That's none of their business. It's everyone's business, I said, my voice calm but shaking. Because every one of you has used me like a safety net. And while I was covering everyone else's life, mine was falling apart. Jennifer scoffed. You make it sound like we forced you. You didn't have to, I said. You just learned that if you cried hard enough, I'd fix it. Dad rubbed his face. Megan, sweetheart, we're family. Families help each other. Families also show up, I snapped. And none of you showed up yesterday. Not for me. Not for Oliver. A silence hung heavy across the room. Mom shifted in her chair. You're being dramatic. I didn't mean to miss it. Besides, he's 3. He won't even remember. I slid the printed photo toward her. He'll remember. She looked down. Her eyes flicked over the photo, then she pushed it away. I don't see what you want from us, Megan. An apology. No, I said. I want accountability. I opened a final folder on the table for envelopes. In each of these is a written statement of every amount you owe me. I'm not asking for all of it back. I'm asking for a plan. Written, signed, and followed. Jennifer's jaw dropped. You're kidding. Marcus laughed incredulously. You're actually making us pay you back? Yes. Mom's voice went sharp. Megan, you don't do that to family. We've helped you plenty of times. When? I asked. When I was in labor and you were at a cruise. When my car broke down and Marcus borrowed it for 2 months. Or when Dad promised to help with preschool tuition and then forgot. No one spoke. I looked at each of them. Here's how this works. You either agree to a repayment plan, or you no longer have access to my financial accounts, credit, or anything else tied to me. I'm closing every joint card, removing every authorized user, and cutting off transfers today. Marcus muttered, You sound insane. No, I said quietly, I sound free. Mom stood up, gathering her purse. I'm not doing this. You've always been the problem, so uptight, always playing martyr. If protecting my child from your irresponsibility makes me the problem, I said, standing too, then I'll wear that proudly. She glared. Don't come crying to me when you realize you've burned your bridges. I already watched them burn, I said. You were holding the match. She stormed out. Jennifer followed, muttering something about family drama. Marcus hesitated, then shrugged. Guess you're serious. I am, I said. He left too. Only Dad stayed. He sat there, staring at the photo of Oliver. After a long minute, he said quietly, "He deserves better from all of us." I nodded, surprised by the lump in my throat. "I can't promise much," he said, "but I'll pay my part." "Thank you," I whispered. That evening, Oliver sat on my lap eating leftover cake. "Grandma didn't come today either?" he asked. "No, honey," I said softly. "But that's okay. We don't need her to have fun." He smiled, crumbs on his cheeks. "Next year, can we have trains again?" I kissed his hair. "Next year, we can have whatever you want." As he fell asleep, I stood by the window, watching the sun dip low, turning the world gold and quiet. For the first time in years, the silence didn't hurt. It sounded like peace. The first thing I noticed was how quiet my phone had become. No group chats, no family calls, no late night, "Can you send me $300 till Friday?" texts. Just silence. At first, it felt like grief. By the end of the second week, it felt like air. I started filling the space they left behind. Oliver and I took evening walks through the neighborhood, picking flowers and naming the stars. I signed up for a pottery class. I started sleeping again, not the shallow, restless kind, but the real kind, the kind that comes when your body finally believes it's safe. Still, some nights I'd wake up thinking I'd done something terrible. Like I'd betrayed them. Like I'd broken some invisible rule written in the language of family debt and guilt. But every morning when Oliver ran into my room shouting, "Good morning, Mommy," the guilt faded a little more. 3 months passed before I heard from my mother. Her name lit up my screen one rainy Thursday morning while I was on my way to work. I stared at the notification, thumb hovering. For a second, I considered deleting it, pretending I hadn't seen it. But curiosity won. I opened the message. "Megan, we need to talk. It's important. Please call me." I didn't reply. By lunchtime, there was another one. "I'm sorry about how things ended. There are things you don't understand. Please, just hear me out." I didn't reply to that one either. That night, when Oliver was asleep, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and a glass of wine, rereading those words. "Things you don't understand." The phrase clung to me like smoke. Was she trying to manipulate me again? Or was there actually something I'd missed? I thought about my father's face the day of the meeting, the way he looked at Oliver's photo, the regret in his voice. Maybe there was more to the story. Against my better judgment, I typed, "We can talk. Tomorrow at 2. Public place." Her reply came instantly. "Thank you, sweetheart. You won't regret this." The next afternoon, I met her at a cafe downtown, the kind of place where everything smells like cinnamon and espresso. She was already there, sitting near the window, hands wrapped around a coffee cup she hadn't touched. When she saw me, she smiled, the same rehearsed smile she'd used at every family gathering, every argument, every guilt trip. But there was something new in her eyes. Fear. "Megan," she said softly. "You look different." "Lighter," I said. "That's what happens when you stop carrying everyone else's weight." She flinched but didn't respond. We sat in silence until I broke it. "You said you had something important to tell me." She nodded slowly, staring at her coffee. "It's about your father." My stomach tightened. "What about him?" "He's sick." Her voice cracked. "The doctors say it's his heart. He collapsed last week." I felt the room tilt slightly. "He didn't tell me," I said quietly. "He didn't want to worry you," she whispered. "He's been different since that day at your house. You really scared him, Megan. But he also said it made him think." She looked up at me, eyes shining with something between guilt and desperation. "He's been trying to make things right. He paid off what he could. Sold the boat. He keeps saying he wants to see Oliver before." Her voice broke. "Before what?" She didn't need to finish. I sat back, trying to process the mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief swirling inside me. I wanted to scream that this wasn't fair, that after everything, I didn't owe them anything anymore. But the image of my father at that table, staring at my son's photo, kept replaying in my head. Finally, I said, I'll think about it. She nodded, wiping her eyes. That's all I ask. As I stood to leave, she reached across the table and touched my hand. Megan, I'm sorry. For all of it. I know I was cruel. I just didn't know how to face what we'd become. I pulled my hand away gently. You still have a chance to fix that. Start with Dad. Then I walked out before she could say anything else. That night, I sat by Oliver's bed, watching his tiny chest rise and fall in sleep. I thought about the years I'd spent chasing approval, paying for affection, mistaking control for love. And then, for the first time, I let myself imagine forgiveness, not for them, but for me. I whispered into the quiet room, maybe we'll visit soon, baby. Maybe. But as I turned off the light, my phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, not from my mother. This is Dr. Cohen from Memorial Hospital. Please call us about your father. It's urgent. The hospital lobby smelled faintly of antiseptic and sadness. I gripped Oliver's little hand as we walked past the sliding glass doors. He fidgeted in his jacket, glancing up at me with wide eyes. Mommy, is Grandpa okay? I didn't answer. How could I explain to a 3-year-old that sometimes adults fail each other in ways too heavy for tiny hearts to hold? Instead, I held his hand tighter and whispered, we'll find out soon, buddy. Let's go see him. Dad's room was quiet. The beeping machines were rhythmic, almost comforting, except for the occasional sharp alarm that made my chest tighten. He looked smaller than I remembered, frail, hair unkempt. But when his eyes opened and met mine, there was recognition, relief, and a hint of shame all at once. Megan, he croaked, his voice rough. You came. I knelt beside his bed. Of course, Dad. I came. Oliver peered from behind my shoulder, clutching his little conductor hat. Grandpa, he whispered. Dad's hand shook as he reached out. Oliver, hi, champ. Oliver stepped forward slowly, then wrapped his arms around Dad's. He wiggled a little. You missed my party. The words hit me like a punch. Dad looked away, ashamed. I know, buddy. I messed up. I swallowed hard, tears threatening. Dad, it's not just the party. It's every time you all let me carry the weight. Every emergency, every debt, every excuse, it's over. I can't do it anymore. He nodded slowly, tears in his own eyes. I understand, Megan. I'm sorry. I see now. I never wanted to make you feel like you were alone. Mom appeared in the doorway, tentative, holding her purse like a shield. Her eyes darted between us and Oliver. I didn't know, she said softly. I really didn't. I looked at her. The words I'd rehearsed for months trembled on my tongue. You didn't care enough to show up for your grandson's birthday. You didn't care enough to respect me. That's the truth. You don't get to rewrite it now with apologies. Her shoulders slumped. I know I hurt you. All of you. I let the silence settle. Let it weigh on everyone in the room. Let them feel the consequences of their choices. Dad coughed, and I placed Oliver on the bed beside him. You're his grandfather, I said quietly. This is your chance to be better. Not because I pay for it. Not because I beg for it. But because you want to be part of his life. Dad nodded, gripping Oliver's small hand like a lifeline. I will, he promised. For a long while, we just sat there. No words, only quiet, only presence. I watched Oliver laugh softly as Dad tried awkwardly, clumsily, to imitate train sounds. And in that moment, I felt a strange relief. I realized then that love isn't measured in money, in gifts, or even in promises. Love is measured in showing up. The drive home was silent, but not heavy. Oliver slept, his little conductor hat slightly crooked. I held the wheel with a calm I hadn't felt in years. The storm inside me had passed. When we walked into our apartment, the sun was dipping low, painting the walls in gold. I set Oliver on the floor with his train set. Next year, I said, ruffling his hair, we'll have trains again. And maybe Grandpa and Grandma will be there if they want to be. He smiled up at me, resilient, fearless. Okay, Mommy. But if they don't, we'll still have cake, right? Always cake, I whispered. I looked around the apartment, at the scattered trains and crumbs, and I realized something profound. I didn't need anyone to validate me anymore. I had my son. I had boundaries. I had truth. And for the first time in my life, I felt what it meant to truly protect someone I loved and, in doing so, protect myself. Weeks later, the family began calling. Some apologized, some made promises. But I didn't rush to forgive. I let them earn it slowly, carefully. Oliver, meanwhile, thrived. His world was full of trains, laughter, and the certainty that Mommy always showed up. And that, I decided, was more than enough.